A lot of Republicans not with the president on this. The president is pushing hard for the renewal of a key national security provision, FISA Section 702. It allows for surveillance of non-U.S. citizens abroad. Now, some of those lawmakers want to see amendments due to questions over American citizens' personal data. However, House Speaker Mike Johnson has so far refused to add or make any changes. He is backing the White House's push for a clean extension. President Trump lays it out. I am asking Republicans to unify and vote together on the test vote to bring a clean bill to the floor. I have spoken with many in our military who say FISA is necessary in order to protect our troops overseas, as well as our people here at home from the threat of foreign terror attacks. It has already prevented many such attacks, and it is very important that it remain in full force and effect.
Our body cameras are simply lenses, two lenses attached to your vest, attached to the smartphone that you're wearing. And we actually take the video that the police officer is, by the way, and the camera's always on. You don't turn it on and off. And by the way, the way you turn it on, you can't turn it on. I'm going to the bathroom. Horrible. I need 2 minutes to take a bathroom break, and we'll turn it off. Truth is, we don't really turn it off. What we do is we record it so no one can see it, but no one can get into that recording without a court order. So you get the privacy you requested, but court order, if you get a court order, we will, judge, can order, I want to look at that, this so-called bathroom break.
Yesterday, I saw some people talking about this Palantir manifesto that was supposedly posted on X by the Palantir account. 22-point summary. They're just quotes from Alex Karp's book, The Technological Republic. I'm kind of wondering if it's worth getting my hands on a copy of this book and perusing it for, I don't know, based on everything in this manifesto. It's so corny. Based on everything I can glean online, it reads like a bunch of hot air. But it is interesting to think about how this concept is being sold to the masses in the midst of all this chaos. Chaos and confusion in the markets and the media. In many ways, I feel like I'm having just Trump fatigue. Is that what it is? I don't know. It's some kind of fatigue. And maybe I should be, especially after the post he did last week, where he was looking like Jesus and that he said he was trying to be a doctor. I mean, I was just talking about that in my video on the Antichrist spirit and the whole messianic meme of Trump. I mean, it didn't start yesterday, but it's definitely reached a whole new crescendo. And now he's battling with the Pope and all this, but all that stuff just feels like noise for the most part because yeah, everyone just focuses on Trump as being the psychotic, unhinged, or debating over whether, he's really psychotic or he's just joking around. Because there are some people that are still defending Trump, and at the end of the day, he's just the lightning rod, right? He's just playing his role. And it's so crazy. I was thinking about this clip. Played this years ago, right? The Emmanuel Goldstein with Trump, the 2 minutes of hate. Like, he is the 2 minutes of hate for this massive operation going on with the energy markets and the Persian Gulf and all that. So when you finally understand that, you kind of see the macro picture going on. You realize that, yeah, getting upset at Trump it's a complete waste of time and energy. And there's a bigger play going on here, and it's all about the financial system as a whole, the Great Reset, as it were. The idea that Trump has created to usher in this Great Reset is a thing that a lot of people can't really wrap their heads around. But then you look at Alex Karp, and you look at Peter Thiel, and you look at, Larry Ellison, all these figures that are all now connected to the current administration, and it's very apparent what they're all about, and that they're all pushing this new technological AI-driven society. And especially now with the FISA 702 announcement that he's now pushing for the very thing that he was claiming to want to do away with. To me, this is kind of like the final decloaking. Could we call it that? But I mean, yeah, Ukraine's still going on. It's amazing. It's like you totally forget that stuff's even still happening sometimes. People still dying in the Donbass. But FISA, man, the other day I spent the afternoon just diving into the old, just kind of doing a refresher and going back, and it ended up being quite a little throwback, going back through the FISA issue. In reality, it goes all the way back to Nixon, but where it really starts picking up steam, of course, is with 9/11. And even shortly before 9/11, he had this guy, what was his name, Binney, who resigned because he was seeing that this whole idea that they weren't going to spy on Americans domestically, it was only supposed to be for, non-Americans and foreign nationals and, terrorists out there that could pose a threat to the United States. All right, and so this is the whole thing that was debated briefly. It's interesting to watch these old...
The latest disclosures from NSA documents leaked by Edward Snowden to The Guardian show the U.S. government collected bulk metadata on the emails of millions of Americans for about 10 years. Under a program that fell under the overall NSA domestic surveillance operation known as Stellar Wind, the government swept up information including email accounts and IP addresses, but not the contents of the messages themselves. The program began by targeting emails with at least one party outside the U.S., but expanded in 2007 to domestic messages. The Obama administration continued the effort after taking office before shutting it down in 2011. The disclosures confirm the claims of William Binney, the career NSA official turned whistleblower. Binney has said the NSA took an electronic surveillance program he developed, Thin Thread, and used it to conduct mass surveillance on a national scale. He resigned from the NSA in 2001 in opposition to what he called illegal spying. According to The Guardian, the collection of Internet metadata appears to have triggered the famed March 2004 confrontation in the hospital room of then-Attorney General John Ashcroft when he refused to sign off on reauthorizing the warrantless surveillance program.
In other news, would you like to give up your rights for your protection? Well, President Trump wants you to, while trying to gain support for his desired FISA extension, which flushes your privacy down the toilet and lets the government spy on you for your protection. President Trump tweeted this: "I am willing to risk the giving up of my rights and privileges as a citizen." Sure, we're all excited to give up our rights too, Mr. President.
So Operation Stellar Wind. Man, what is up with all these cosmic program names dealing with deep state technology? Project Stargate, Stellar Wind. I don't remember hearing about that back in the day when I was first learning about FISA and the NSA and all that, but even if I had heard it at the time, back in like 2010 when I started kind of learning about all this stuff, I certainly wouldn't have put the cosmological connection behind it. So that in itself is kind of amazing. Stellar Wind. The Fallen Angel tech. It's pretty crazy. But But I got another clip here from Cognitive Dissidence that kind of ties into everything going on currently with Trump and Iran, and it kind of summarizes everything I've been thinking about this past few weeks. And then I'll unpack it at the end.
I'll just add, there was a great tweet yesterday. It said the other day, Satan is on both sides of the political spectrum. Yes. And just to your point, Mike, is that if you're going to have a world government, a world empire, you have to include every cartel faction. So it can't, you're going to have the Saudi, they're taking control of the Gulf countries, MBS, all of them are down with NEOM and the line and the 15-minute cities and the technocracy. And of course, the Zionist lobby is plugged in, the Vatican, the Masonic networks. Again, it goes back to the occultocracy. I had Pastor Crone on, and he explained it. I was amazed. I was a huge fan of Stanley Monteith, the late Stanley Monteith. And he'd actually been in his home, and he explained it, again, using the hand as the reference. Yes, it's the Vatican. Yes, it's the Jews. Yes, it's the Saudi lobby. Yes, it's the city of London.
Yes.
But ultimately, it's Satan, Lucifer, the fallen angel. And I guess just sharing my screen again, to your point, Zelensky just signed the law on anti-Semitism in Ukraine. You can get up to 8 years in prison, fines, and restrictions on liberty. But they're going to play this clip here from Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. They're signaling this is where we're headed next. The energy, because they're going to have us shut off the lights, and while in the darkness, they're going to bring in the new system. And when they turn on the lights, hello.
By the way,
yeah,
that Zelensky thing might just be to save him. Like, I'm sure the war is quite unpopular there. It never stops. And has he had an election? Like, didn't he suspend elections? He's a dictator.
Yeah, I don't know. Or
so
it could be
it's probably a censorship element to that for his own war.
Yeah, it could be, or it could be part of the no hide stuff that some of us have covered before. But here's Powell.
Rapidly, and I think the vigilance is what you need. You just need to always know that there's another thing coming. And I think in particular, we've had all kinds of financial crises, but we've never really had a successful cyber attack on a large financial utility, let's say, or financial institution. And that would be quite a different thing. If people are going to lose money in a certain part of the economy, we have a hugely resilient financial system now. It's more, let me say this, it's more about resilience than it is about avoiding crises. One of our former people used to say that we're in the levee building business, not the hurricane prevention business, right? So there are going to be hurricanes, and they're going to come, and you just have to assume you won't know what direction or what the nature of it will be. So you want a highly resilient financial system, and we do have that, but again, nobody who's in that business will ever give you a green light. They'll always say, "Here, these are the risks, and we got to monitor."
It almost sounds like he wants a cyber polygon to happen, and why are they so obsessed with using the term resilient? That's the globalist 15-minute city term. I didn't pull it up, but on my Telegram this morning, I shared from another account, mainstream article talking about Russian hackers are going to, I think they were targeting UK bank accounts, are going to hack and rinse the bank accounts, basically clean out people's bank accounts. So you've got all these types of stories coming on board. Scott Bessent now, I think, again, these are little signals that are important. He says bank citizenship verification order is in process. So that to determine the citizenship of someone opening a bank account. Again, that's part of the algorithm ghetto. Lunduk, who's great on tech, he just noted Michigan pulled back its operating system verification law, but now there's another one. They just keep coming back. They're not going to stop. A new U.S. national law has been introduced to require all operating systems to have mandatory age verification. And so, yeah, I think just if you guys have any thoughts on this, a cyber sort of polygon type event.
I've discussed that quite a lot because obviously I talk about finance, and I think it is just one they've been setting up and teeing up for so long that if we don't have that, I'm quitting if we don't have the cyber attack. I'm quitting my analysis because they've been teeing it up everywhere. Everybody said it, from Klaus Schwab to Jerome Powell. There was wargaming in Israel in 2001. And for me, I think that is the one. When that happens, that's the financial shift over from the old system to the new system. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So I think they're saving it, because when they do that, you can hide so much behind a cyber attack. Listen, we're all going to be dark. There'll be no Harari, Moritz, and geopolitics and empire. There'll be no parallel systems, Monica Perez show. It'll be quiet. Everyone's stuck. We're all in the same boat at that point. And when it all comes back online, it could be a completely new system where you have to have digital ID just to get online. Your bank account, oh, it's all gone. The retirement account, oh, sorry, the Russian hackers took it. And at that point, you're on the digital token system. And so, listen, if they want to build a true totalitarian financial digital control grid, you are not voluntarily getting people into that. Nobody is going to volunteer for it. And I think if you do it the old kind of one step at a time, it'll take 20, 30 years to do. So I think you need a hard break at some point. And that for me is the cyber attack. So I do take it seriously. And I always say to people, someone actually asked me in my recent Q&A, how much is safe to keep in a US bank account? And I said 0. There is no safe amount to keep in a bank account. Keep what you need in a bank account, but ultimately, at some point, I don't think there'll be a warning when it happens. It'll be a rug pull moment. You'll wake up, something will happen, and you know, that will be pretty scary stuff for all of us. It's not going to be, I mean, you got get the candles out, play some board games, you'll be fine. But I think it will have that shock factor to it, especially if people can't, you know, go to the local shop or access their bank account. And maybe it's not going to be total as well. We don't have to be catastrophic. We don't have to think like all the lights go out, you can't do anything. Maybe it will be located in a specific area of society. So it could be the banking sector or something like that. That's probably more realistic than a total blackout. Although, remember, they did do this in Spain and Portugal last year, and I did say at the time it was a cyber attack. Everyone said, no, Mike, and they fall for this low-hanging fruit narrative about renewables. And I said, nope, it was timed just after they were threatened by the US and obviously Israel. And then just this week, Monica, you tagged me in something that suggested it was a cyber attack. So I think again,
Netanyahu referred to it and said, hey, Spain, you're getting out of line again. Remember what we did last time.
So, Monica, are you saying it's the Jews? Silly.
It's always.
Silly.
Now on another subject, and more critical because of timing, deals with FISA Section 02 reauthorization. In 5 short days, Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, FISA for short, is set to expire. Section 702 is an essential national security tool. That law is responsible for over 60% of the intelligence in the President's daily brief. Section 702 enables our intelligence and law enforcement community to thwart attacks before they occur. It's as I see it, a preventive national defense, a national security issue. Section 702 has saved countless lives in the United States and even abroad. It gives our military a strategic edge, allows us to hunt down foreign terrorists and rescue hostages, and helps us defend critical infrastructure from cyber attacks. More recently, Section 02 has enabled more than 90% of CIA-driven synthetic drug disruptions abroad and prevented a mass casualty terrorist attack at a Taylor Swift concert overseas.
bill to modernize the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act of 1978. This new law strengthened our ability to collect foreign intelligence on terrorists overseas, and it closed a dangerous gap in our intelligence. Since this important measure took effect, our intelligence professionals have been able to gather critical information that would have been missed without this authority.
And making sure that, as I've said before, somebody's watching the watchers. That you don't have an administration that feels that it can make its own determinations about when warrantless wiretaps are applicable without going through a FISA court.
The whole idea about this Steele dossier,
and that's
whether or not
what we had. That's the system that we had previously. And I think that if you look at why people were concerned about the original bill,
even
it wasn't
if
simply
that there had
we
to be
wouldn't be able
more
to
that was
sue
offered.
the
Because
phone
look,
companies.
every 90 days you
I
got
would
to
be
go to
happy
court
with a
and
system
renew
that
it.
discloses what's happened and makes sure that we prevent violations of the American people's rights.
So there was kind of a lot in there, but that was the part that really stuck out to me. And I'm really liking this podcast. Geopolitics and Empire. It's becoming one of my favorites to listen to, whether it's the three of them or just Hervoye, and he has all these different guests on. He had Gary Kaw on like a week or two ago. Gary Kaw has been writing about the New World Order agenda since like the late 80s or the early 90s. Christian, one of the OGs. And so I like him because they are not sugarcoating it, but they're not, at the same time, it's not just fear porn and not trying to sell you gold or any of that stuff. You know, it's like, not that there's anything wrong with selling gold. People are, I'm not trying to shame anybody for doing that, but you know what I mean. My whole thing with like buying and selling gold, it's like, well, owning paper gold is not, unless you own the physical gold, you don't own the gold. So that's the extent of my investment advice or knowledge, really. To me, it's like, unless it's a tangible asset that you have in your possession, you know, and you can argue depending on how things go, you know, at the end of the day, you can't really eat gold. It has no immediate pragmatic value if you're in a straight up, you know, lights out kind of helter-skelter scenario. And how would you even trade with, I've had these debates with people, but I don't know. I mean, I get it. It's the oldest. But to me, I guess I've been thinking about, you know, this cosmology. I always think in terms of the cosmology analogies or the cosmology tie-in that's always there somewhere, right? The stellar wind, all these decades of surveillance, you know, there's all these debates over the NSA and domestic spying. And, you know, it's like when you watch the old news coverage on it, it seems quaint by comparison, right? Because we weren't thinking about CBDCs and we weren't thinking about a surveillance society that could theoretically go far beyond just CCTV cameras everywhere, but with AI monitoring everything and eventually the whole Internet of Bodies idea, the nanotech chipping idea. So, but yeah, this great reset, this financial precipice that I feel like pretty much everybody that you talk to now, with the Iran oil crisis looming, you know, you're hard pressed to find somebody who doesn't, at least on some level, it's any adult who doesn't understand like how serious of a crisis this could be, to be messing with the world energy supply, not just in terms of the prices at the pump and how that affects us all quite directly, but everything else, and the fertilizers and all this, and, you know, all the fuel refineries around the world that are, like, the number of them that are having fires keeps, I don't know how many we're at now. It's at least like half a dozen, if not around 10 of them. So the energy sector, the whole supply chain, you know, this is how you get the lockdowns 2.0, but on a level that it kind of breaks our brain to really fathom it. And we don't want to think about it too much because, and you know, and I understand why people don't want to think about it, because it's like the most catastrophic thing that any of us would have lived through in terms of the economic implications of depriving major portions of the world from natural gas and oil, and then of course all the plastics and all the, you know, the helium. It's a major supply chain shock to the system. It's all to serve as the final death blow to the petrodollar and usher in whatever controllable blockchain system, comes out on top. And it could be a combination of them.
The company behind the biggest stablecoin in the world, it holds over $120 billion in U.S. treasuries right now. That makes them one of the biggest holders of U.S. government debt on the planet. In fact, bigger than some countries even. Now, imagine this same dynamic, but with the brand recognition of Tesla, the distribution of Apple, the loyalty programs of every airline and retailer we already use. You're not asking people in Argentina or Vietnam to trust some sketchy crypto company they've never heard of. You're asking them to trust the brands they already love and use in their own countries, brought to them by the courtesy of freedom. And in exchange for that trust, they'll get yields, they'll get discounts, they'll get utility, they'll get to protect their savings and purchasing powers from their corrupt dictators and governments, right? Now, behind the scenes, they become creditors to the United States government. That is how you offload trillions and trillions of dollars in debt globally. All you need is CBDCs, legislation, and 8 billion smartphones. This system, as convenient and generous as it sounds, is also going to be the most sophisticated financial control grid that will ever be built. And the reason I say that is because it's also already been tested. Tether has already frozen wallets. It's happened dozens of times. It has sanctioned addresses, it's flagged accounts, it's regulatory requests. All it takes is a line of code, and they can turn your money off.
I was listening to some Catherine Austin Fitz last night, and she was talking about how, it may not even be just one. It's kind of like the smorgasbord period right now, and they're kind of beta testing all these different. And I was thinking about it's kind of similar to like COVID, where they had the J&J and they had what were the different brands, the Pfizer, and I don't know, because it's like they're all, it's all poison. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing with the digital currency, right? Whether it's an American-led cryptocurrency or a crypto yuan or the multipolar world order, it's all the same. And that's kind of, it's like, this is the precipice, this is the cliff that anybody who's looking into this for any amount of time at all knows that that's kind of the point of no return, right? That's kind of the abyss that above all else people have been trying to prevent and been trying to wake the world up to and trying to kind of warn and say, this is the point of no return. This is the thing that will just enslave humanity forever. And then eventually you come to the conclusion that the idea of trying to stop it is more or less futile, but it's a matter of trying to extricate yourself from it, trying to remove yourself from that system and be independent of it as much as you can be. And you live for a while in that kind of approach to it, and then eventually conclude that even that is one way or another, we all have to participate in the system, and we all have to have a minimal amount of ID and the whole prospect of getting debanked, which people like Hervoye have already experienced. And it's a lot of his guests, too. He had a guest yesterday from Israel that was talking about her whole experience since COVID, and she was in the tech sector. She was a successful professional in software or something. I think she was in marketing, but tech marketing. But because of the jab, because of the mandates, and she was vocal about it, and that just basically changed her whole trajectory and her whole ability to even get a job in that sector anymore, and getting kicked off of all kinds of platforms. And we know that stuff is coming. And so all this stuff, the whole surveillance issue of the credit score, your social credit score, it's just being slowly rolled out to the point where we don't even need to debate it. And that's sort of those, I don't know, I was thinking about how it feels like a similar paradox to, when it comes to cosmology, biblical enclosed cosmology, and trying to get the word out to people. And after a while, you start to feel like, well, what is the point? Sometimes it's easy to feel like, it's kind of a losing prospect to convince the majority of people to accept the idea that outer space doesn't even exist, and it's just a construct that's been taught to everybody in school, and it's all part of the evolutionary paradigm. And you can list off all the reasons all day long, but ultimately it comes down to believing it means enduring a certain amount of scorn and ridicule and being a pariah in society. And But in terms of what are the, the payoffs of it, you're not going to make money. It's not going to make your life easier in any way. On a material level, it will not make you popular or wealthy or anything like that. So you actually have to care about it for the sake of the bigger... If your motivations are only socially based, then you're not going to want to see it. And so people believe in this abyss. They believe that there's this giant void all around us, just right above our heads, or that we're just on this little blue pearl of a sphere floating in the abyss, floating in the darkness. And then you have the sun and the stars and the stellar wind. It should be like a horrifying kind of thing to believe in. It should be this very foreboding, perilous, and yet somehow it's supposed to represent this ocean of possibility or the adventurous human spirit, all these whatever empowering narratives. But the real abyss that is facing the world, that's facing humanity, is this system, this cliff of our own making, of our own devising. But at the same time, when you step back and look at it from God's point of view, from the Bible's point of view, at some point this whole system has to be judged, right? It's going to kind of cave in on itself. In Revelation we read about there's the woman who rides the beast and says, I sit as a queen and I will never mourn, and yet in 1 hour her end will come. And then the beast actually throws her down and tramples her. And I think about that more and more lately, like the beast and the harlot. Because we kind of think of them as all being one and the same, and yet, and again, is this just a one-time event at the very end, or is this kind of a typological truth that has probably been going on in many iterations throughout history of the beast turning on the whore and trampling her? Because Satan's kingdom, the rat, it's all just people clamoring over each other and trying to use one another and climb their way to the top of the pyramid and dominate each other. And maybe that's what is going on right now with all the West versus the East and the left versus the right. I mean, I like how they talk about that in that clip where he's talking about all the different, mafia factions have to be wrestled into, they all have to be brought into the system. So of course there's jockeying for position, and there's power plays, and there's rivalries, and there's, it's not just one big happy family all the time. Think about any corporation that functions with one sort of purpose, and yet within it there's all kinds of little political coups, and right, I mean, that's how the whole world works. So in that way I see why people kind of poo-poo the idea of like a grand conspiracy, because they're like, look, everybody's always out for themselves. And yeah, on the human level you could say that that's true, but they forget that there is this higher supernatural demonic dimension to all of it, manipulating all the humans who don't care about humans at all, other than wanting us to all go to the real pit, to the real abyss, to share their fate. The eternal outer darkness. It's crazy watching all the reactions to Artemis too, the mission, where in some ways it's probably causing more people to look into the NASA fakery than anything we've seen in quite a while.
People asked our crew what impressions we had. And honestly, what struck me wasn't necessarily just Earth.
It was all the blackness around it.
Earth was just this lifeboat hanging undisturbingly in the universe.
Uh-oh.
Houston, we have a bad communicator. She can't hear her lines. So I really do hope they try and go actually walk on the moon. I can't imagine them actually trying to do that at this point. Have people like walking around on the moon again. I mean, good luck with that. But I've just been seeing this whole, it's so similar to COVID, right? Where it's like, 2 weeks to flatten the curve, or no, it's only going to be a month or two, and then we'll open the strait again. Is it open? Is it not open? All the confusion, all the back and forth, and you've got all the kind of the narratives that are handed to people to debate, just like, was it in a lab, or did it come from a wet market, and who's to blame? Is it, China? Is it the CDC? When in reality, those are all just superficial arguments that don't even get to the core of anything. And how much of politics is just that? It's just superficial arguments over individuals, when in reality the system, as Corbett was talking about recently, the purpose of the system is what it does.
I can, off the top of my head, think of dozens of ways in which this Posiwid heuristic can be applied to various questions that might arise when we look at the world around us and start to contemplate the systems around us. You might ask, for example, what is the purpose of the war on drugs? Well, clearly the purpose of the war on drugs is to make more people addicted to drugs and to increase the prison incarceration rates and to ensure more people are in the prison system. That is what the system does. That is what it is for. All right. What is the purpose of AI and the chatbot takeover? Clearly, again, demonstrably, the purpose of this is to make people stupider, more intellectually lazy, and more dependent on their digital devices. That is happening. That is what it does. That is what it is for. What is the purpose of processed foods? It is demonstrably not to enrich our lives, not to make us feel better or to make us healthier. No, it is precisely the opposite. The purpose of the processed food industry is to make people fatter, sicker, and lazier. So again, it is a great way of really seeing through all of the illusion and getting to the base reality of a thing.
And yeah, what is the system doing? What is the Iran war system doing? Is destroying the petrodollar, bringing in the cryptocurrency, bringing in the digital system, the continuation of the great wealth transfer, ultimately, because that's what COVID did. It's going to do everything that COVID did and more. And yeah, at the end of the day, it doesn't sound like a cheerful, upbeat topic to even want to talk about. The surveillance society, the AI-infused technocracy. What is the point of even resisting it? You know there's going to be people that say this, right? You know that there will be people who just there already are. Like, oh, AI, it's useful for some things, and it's not all bad. It's like, yeah, well, sure. I mean, there's plenty of harmless, whatever, arguably useful things that you can do with large language models and, generative AI. But in the end, it is going to be used to monitor everything we all do. Because human beings can't sit there and watch 8 billion screens, right? To see if you're really taking a bathroom break or if you're doing something illegal, committing a crime against the state or a thought crime or a financial crime or whatever. That's why they want AI so bad. Big Brother is watching you. It's so cliche, but you need to automate the panopticon. But when it comes to all these things, the crazy thing is that whether it's this idea of the financial abyss or the New World Order point of no return, the no turning back line or the all-seeing eye, the panopticon, all these things actually have a biblical and eternal corollary. And these are the things that really we should be putting most of our attention on. And this is what Jesus tells us to do, it tells us not to store up for ourselves treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy, but store up for ourselves treasures in heaven. And it doesn't mean that it's just all about heaven and we just give up on this life, but to know that, all the physical things that we own and use are just temporary. Everything is just a tool to be used. Not just AI, but all the things you think you own. And life is fleeting. Life is like dust in the wind, in the stellar wind. The eternal reality of a God who sees. You want to talk about the panopticon, he doesn't need a digital system. He doesn't need AI bots to monitor everything that the populace does. His eye is on the sparrow. He knows the thoughts and the motives of the heart. He sees us more intimately than any predictive policing algorithm or any thought crime software or whatever they come up with. Will never be able to see into your soul the way that God does. I mean, think about that. Think about the power, the surveillance power of God. But he's more than just a big brother. He's our loving father. Jesus is actually our big brother. Isn't that crazy to think that, the whole term of big brother is itself kind of it's a mockery of Jesus? The first fruits of the resurrection. He literally is like the firstborn among many of the resurrection. Everything's been entrusted to him, and he shares that inheritance with us as friends and brothers and sisters who can cry out to God as Abba, Father. I will cry unto God Most High, unto God that performeth all things for me. He shall send from heaven and save me from the reproach of him that would swallow me up. Selah. God shall send forth his mercy and his truth. My soul is among lions, and I lie even among them that are set on fire, even the sons of men, whose teeth are spears and arrows, and their tongue a sharp sword. Be thou exalted, O God, above the heavens. Let thy glory be above all the earth. They have prepared a net for my steps. My soul is bowed down. They have dug a pit before me, into the midst whereof they are fallen themselves. Selah. My heart is fixed, O God, my heart is fixed. I will sing and give praise. Awake up, my glory, awake, psaltery and harp. I myself will awake early. I will praise thee, O Lord, among the people. I will sing unto thee among the nations. For thy mercy is great unto the heavens, and thy truth unto the clouds. Be thou exalted, O God, above the heavens. Let thy glory be above all the earth.